who routinely shut down during conversation lack emotional intelligence? I'm going to go ahead and play the clip.
Important to say, all right, I can understand that you're not at the capacity to have this argument or this conversation with me, but when are you? Because when we go back and we circle back to shutting down, right, it's I'll have this conversation later or until I'm not mad anymore or if I'm not upset anymore, and then I'll just kind of like sweep it under the rug. And sometimes the frustration comes in when you're tired of people just sweeping things under the rug or your partner sweeping things under the rug and not like communicating. And this is why you yearn for that emotional intelligence. Let's talk about it. Let's fix this problem.
I like the fact that you spoke on shutting down. You'll hear a lot of people say I'm emotionally intelligent and one of their coping mechanisms or defense mechanisms is to shut down. Well, then you lack emotional intelligence if that's the case, because shutting down is part of your fight or flight. So that means that you don't have the ability in that moment to regulate whatever emotion it is that you're experiencing and to be able to be vocal about what you're experiencing. So that's not a part of emotional intelligence whatsoever.
Right.
All right, let's go ahead and get to it. Do people who routinely shut down during conversation lack emotional intelligence? We're going to go to you first, Cloud. What are your thoughts about that, sir?
I was a little conflicted about that. I think there's truth to the idea that if someone shuts down that they lack emotional intelligence, but I really think it depends on if they have the ability to communicate it or not. Because some people will shut down and just, not communicate, hey, I need a moment. But then there are people who'll be like, look, hey, this is the type of person I am. When I feel like this, I'm not good at controlling it. I'm gonna need a distance so that I can regulate, so that I can do that. So I think if you can communicate what you're feeling, no matter how you're feeling, if you can communicate it and exercise some level of control over it, then I think that will qualify as emotional intelligence.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go to you, Sweeney. What are your thoughts about it, sir?
I was gonna actually I kind of say something along to what Cloud Jones said, because obviously a element of emotional intelligence is social skills and ability to be able to communicate. So do I believe that every instance where a person shuts down in a conversation is a lack of emotional intelligence? Not necessarily. I'm kind of aligned with what Cloud said, is that it depends on how that happens. If they're able to communicate with you why they're shutting down, or they're willing to bow out of a conversation that may not necessarily be going, that may be going in a direction that they don't want to take it. You know what I mean? So they say, hey, look, typically, I can go on and have these type of discussions, but the way I'm feeling right now, I don't think that'd be good for us to continue this conversation. So yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement with Cloud on this one.
I know you guys spoke about them at least still being able to communicate about the shutdown, but does it ever get to a point where the shutdown is just too much? I mean, you can't, because some people will shut down anytime there, and Marcus may be able to better explain it, or Trev, because we had a debrief where I seen those skills being able to be exercised, or at least them being able to understand it in its entirety. But that shutdown can't keep happening every single time. At some point in time, and you may not be that person to be able to assist that, or it may be a strategy or tool, or maybe something that you can learn to kind of help get that person on board. But I think sometimes a shutdown, because some people shut down and they never come back to it, and some people that shut down and still be able to articulate. But sometimes a shutdown can be a day, and so now whatever energy that came with it, it hasn't been resolved. So I think that we as people should seek to be better communicators and better listeners, and being able to learn how to resolve and being able to get through those moments. Because to me, you shutting down every single time, there's clearly has to be something that's ticking inside that's resisting the conversation or whatever is happening inside your body. It's resisting. It doesn't want to do it.
Yeah, I guess you know what. Now that I think about it, I just reread your question, and you did say that routinely shut down. So that means this is a regular occurrence for them. So yeah, in that aspect, I'm completely in agreement with you. Where if that's your go-to move for any conversation where things get uncomfortable, you just shut down. Then again, that's social skills is a form of emotional intelligence. So that's an area that you may lack in. So yeah, I don't think they're completely emotionally unintelligent, but that may be an element of emotional intelligence that they lack in. Like I said earlier, we all have a functioning level of emotional intelligence, but there are some times where we're tested where we show there are areas in emotional intelligence that we lack in.
There's been plenty of times where I wanted to shut down, I want to fire off, and I just had to understand that wasn't going to get us nowhere. Like you get very uncomfortable hearing something that you really don't want to hear, and I've grown from that because I would never get emotional, but I can feel it inside of me. Said I don't want to hear this right now, and I want to express it and be able to tell it to this person. But you being able to show that restraint and that discipline, and still be able to hear it and hear past it and say, hey, this might be something that can help me. Like this may be something that may be beneficial to me. And I've done that more so recently than ever. But I still do sit in moments. I'm human, right? I still do sit in moments that I just want to say, like, shut the F up. Like, get the fuck out of my face. Or I don't want to hear this shit. Like I do want to say it. And so if I'm being honest, but at least I'm able to refrain from escalating. Because, you know, I grew up where we just didn't really talk. You know, we really didn't talk. We just, you know, like enough is enough. You know, I had to learn it the hard way at my old job. So when we stepped down and we went to the common area, I approached them. I said, let me holler at you for a second. Because we ain't going to keep doing this talking and they're going to keep doing this little slick at the mouth. So it takes I've learned that being on my grown man-ish, you don't have to fire back every time. You know, sometimes the problem is not necessarily you, but it's more them. And even if you sit on the other side of playing chess, or you sit on the other side of being above all the BS, because I always say there's their reality, there's my reality, there's the reality that exists, and then you can just be above it all. And when you look it down over all that BS, it's just like, this person is effed up. It ain't me. It ain't me. But I still do want to respond though. I still do want to tell them about themselves. But it takes everybody can't do it. And that's why you have a lot of these emotional people, man. They just walk around and they just unstable and they just firing off, especially the young generation. These young generation, they ain't trying to talk.
I don't know, JR. So what you describe, sometimes some people just need to get hit in the mouth. And I get it. Hold on, wait. I get it. Because what he described was somebody that's pushing
somewhere else.
That's constantly right. Sometimes some people just need to get hit in the mouth, and they don't learn until they get hit in the mouth. We know this. Some people who just keep yapping off at the mouth at you. There's sometimes you can ignore it when you like, hey man, I'm not about to keep dealing with you like this. But then there's some instances where you got to be aware of your surroundings.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this. The thing about it is that you got to be willing to understand what's gonna come with that. Because depending on the person, they may not stop. You may just want to leave it at hitting at the mouth, but that person may be felt embarrassed because that person who I approached, he tried to get me fired. You know, I thought as men we come together, and I left it alone. And then I received a call said I've been removed from service pending investigation.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a person that talked a lot of. He talk a lot of ish. You know, and he said something. I heard my name on the radio. I just like, okay, I'm not gonna say nothing on the radio. I'm just gonna walk up to him because I don't want that talking. Before I knew it, I was in the zone. And I tell this story. He had transitional glasses, and I was able to look through the tent directly at his eyeballs. And I told him, keep my name out your mouth. And in other words, and there was a bunch of witnesses around. And I thought it was just we was cool there. But then he sat down and he was looking. And after I came out from where I was at, I was just looking at him like, why the fuck is he sitting over there like that? I had embarrassed him. And he tried to get me fired, but I'm only saying that to say when you in the streets, it's a different thing. You may, and Marcus know, like these guys, when they get embarrassed or they get belittled and their ego straight, shit, they ain't trying to do no talking.
Yeah.